In a world overflowing with notifications, endless technological upgrades, and the ever-present hum of machines, there exists a quiet corner where life follows a different rhythm. A place where tradition isn't just remembered, it's lived. This is the world of the Amish. Among rolling fields and gravel roads, the Amish community has drawn a distinct line between themselves and the modern world. Their way of life fascinates outsiders, not just for its simplicity, but for its unwavering commitment to values long left behind by the rest of society. I recently had the rare privilege of visiting my friend Harley's Amish homestead. What I saw there didn't just answer questions, it raised new ones too. Questions about balance, about necessity, about choosing what to keep and what to let go. Take Harley, for instance. He won't allow a telephone in his house. Instead, he keeps it in a tiny wooden shed on the far edge of his property. It's powered, not by his own energy source, but by the electricity of his non-Amish neighbor. That small choice speaks volumes. He also doesn't own or drive a car, but when he needed to move 11 Highland cows from New Hampshire to his farm, he hired a driver with a truck and trailer. The lines they draw aren't always black and white. They're guided by principle, but shaped by practicality. It's this delicate dance, between old and new, between faith and function, that left me both amazed and deeply reflective. The Amish way of doing laundry. One of the first things that struck me about Amish life was their ingenuity, something I saw firsthand while watching how they did laundry. Without electricity, there's no washer or dryer. And yet, Sarah, Harley's wife and our warm, generous hostess, managed to keep up with her family's laundry using a method both clever and inspiring. Outside her home, a propane-powered motor hummed softly, driving a long shaft connected to a washtub agitator. She filled the tub with hot water heated from a nearby tank, added a bit of soap, and got to work. What followed was a rhythmic, almost meditative process: close in, agitate, rinse, wring. Sarah's young son, Levin, helped crank the clothes through a manual wringer, squeezing out the water before they were dropped into rinse tubs. Then came the drying, using a pulley-operated clothesline that stretched high above the sun-drenched pasture. Fabrics fluttered like prayer flags in the wind. It wasn't just beautiful. It was practical. Sarah explained that air-drying clothes helps them last longer. Colors stay brighter, fibers stay stronger. There's no overheating, no shrinkage, just sunlight, fresh air, and time. And she didn't do just a load or two. We're talking the equivalent of what would have been 10 loads in my electric washer at home. Watching her work with quiet determination was humbling. For the Amish, laundry isn't just a chore, it's a reflection of their resilience, creativity, and deep connection to the rhythms of nature. Handmade clothes and a deep sense of craft. Everything Sarah and her family wore had one thing in common: it was made by her own hands. She took me to her sewing room, a cozy sunlit space where a vintage treadle-operated Singer sewing machine sat in perfect condition. It reminded me of one my grandmother once used. There was something comforting about the gentle creak of the pedal, the quiet chug of the needle. Sarah, like many Amish women, shares sewing patterns with friends and relatives, keeping their traditional clothing alive. It's not just about modesty or uniformity. It's about skill, about love, about investing time into something meaningful. Every stitch was deliberate, every garment a quiet masterpiece of patience and dedication. In a world drowning in fast fashion and disposable trends, their approach felt like a revelation. Keeping food cool, without a fridge. You might wonder, how does a family preserve food without electricity, without a refrigerator or freezer? The answer is simple and astonishing: ice. During the coldest weeks of winter, the Amish harvest massive blocks of ice from a nearby pond. Using horse-drawn saws, they cut and stack the frozen slabs, then haul them to an insulated basement. Thanks to careful insulation and strategic placement, the ice can last an entire year, sometimes longer. Sarah led me into their pantry, and my jaw dropped. Shelves were lined with jars, peaches, onions, tomatoes, green beans, and even meat, all canned by hand. It was enough to feed her family for months. There's no waste, no last-minute grocery runs, no microwave dinners. Everything has been prepared with purpose, preserved with care. It's a level of self-sufficiency that few of us can even imagine. Before I left, Sarah handed me a jar of her home-canned peaches. It was heavy in my hands, filled to the top. When I opened it later, it tasted like sunshine caught in syrup, a quiet reminder of the hospitality and heart behind everything they do. Farm-to-table meals, the Amish way. Dinner at the homestead was more than a meal. It was a window into a world of flavor, simplicity, and connection. There was raw milk from their Jersey cow, thick, creamy, and full of life. Warm, freshly baked bread. Homemade yogurt with a texture so rich it almost felt indulgent. And then came dessert, a chocolate cake with buttery frosting that made me close my eyes with the first bite. Every part of the meal came from their land, their animals, or their hands. No preservatives, no plastic packaging. Just honest food that tasted like it had a story to tell. The house itself felt just as comforting. Heated by a central wood-burning stove, the warmth was even and inviting. Not the kind of dry, artificial heat you get from vents, but something deeper. Radiant, steady, true. The stove doubled as a cooking surface, always ready to warm a pot of tea or a pan of stew. I found myself wondering, how do they manage in summer, when the heat becomes unbearable? The simplicity of Amish showers and water systems. Their solution to staying clean in all seasons was, like everything else, smart and straightforward. Sarah heated water on the wood stove, mixed it with cold water, and poured it into a simple bucket suspended above a small shower stall. A handle released the flow, and gravity did the rest. No water heater, no pressure pump. And yet, the steady stream of warm water felt soothing, refreshing even. It reminded me that luxury isn't always about power or pressure. Sometimes it's about intention. Water throughout the house was also gravity-fed. A natural spring on their land flowed into a concrete tub, keeping fresh water available for both the house and their animals. Even in the depths of winter, the water never froze, thanks to the constant motion and clever design. It was hard not to admire the elegance of it all. Clean, natural, sustainable, without relying on a single watt of electricity. Looking ahead, the rhythm of the seasons. As we prepared to leave, Harley invited me to come back in June for the hay harvest. 6,000 bales, all cut and collected using horse-drawn equipment. I couldn't say no. I wanted to see more, to understand more. Because even in just a few days, I had come to appreciate the quiet strength behind every Amish decision. Yes, living without electricity might seem impossible to most of us, but for the Amish, it isn't about rejecting the modern world out of stubbornness. It's about protecting their values, their time, their sense of purpose. They live in tune with nature, in partnership with family and community, in respect for the resources they've been given. And while I returned to a world of buzzing phones, blinking lights, and constant motion, something stayed with me, a sense of calm, of clarity. Because maybe, just maybe, there's something to be learned from those who choose less, yet live so much more.